Well, it's towards the end of summer, so of course that's the time to start working on your boat. Yeah, it hasn't been out on the water since 2015, so 7 years. I thought it was 5. It's a 06 Larson. 1 year I had it, the motor froze and broke because I didn't drain it properly. It was a 305. Now it's a 350. It's a mess because it's been under pine needles and stuff. So today, got the carburetor off. We're charging the batteries, trying to recondition them. There's 2. It's kind of modified. I got dual batteries, MSD ignition, billet distributor, 350 instead of the 305, and electric fuel pump, the 125 quick fuel. So anyway, we're gonna clean this guy up. I'm gonna take the fuel pump and the regulator off. I'm gonna put a carburetor cover deal on, a lift plate basically, but it's gonna cover that up. Then we're gonna pull it out and power wash it, get it all cleaned up, and then start going through the fuel system, clean out the fuel cell, pump all the fuel out, clean it out, refurbish the pump, and then go through the carburetor. It's a quick fuel 650, I think. It's either 600 or 650. I can't remember. I have to look up the numbers. We're gonna go through that guy, see if we can't get it cleaned up and working. I've got some carburetor stuff. We'll soak it in for a couple hours and then put it in the sonic cleaner, the metering plates and the main body to get it cleaned up, all the orifices, and then we'll see if we can get it running. I don't know if we can get it started today or not. We'll try. It's a lot of work. So yep, so that's what we're doing. Alrighty, quite a bit going on. First thing we did, took that access panel out, took the sending unit out, sucked all the fluid, the gas out, the 7-8-year-old gas, 7-year-old gas, about a gallon of water in there. Then we went through the carburetor. I didn't show that process. It's just tore it all apart, every screw but nut bolt. Put the metering plates and the bowls in the all apart, but in the sonic cleaner. Cleaned this in the carburetor dissolving stuff. Put it back together. No new gaskets. It was in pretty good shape, just tightening it up. Took the bottom plate off of the fuel pump just to inspect it. Everything's golden. Put all that back together because it's going to go back in. Went to the store. The batteries would not recondition, so I had to go buy another one. That's one of them. The screws on the distributor cap broke. They were rusted, so they snapped off. So that's going to be the first thing I have to do. I might put the spark plugs in, but just doing now just general tune-up stuff. So we've gone through the fuel system perfectly, and I got a new filter for here. So the old filter is out. It's just a plastic see-through doodle like this. Here's the part number from O'Reilly's. Same thing. Nothing fancy. I got the cap numbered because I'm not a Chevrolet guy, so I numbered what cylinder went to each one. Got a new cap. Rotor. I'll put some anti-seize on these guys this time. Got oil. And believe it or not, the the filter wasn't in stock at O'Reilly's or AutoZone. Now it's a Chevy 350, so I find that very hard to believe, but I guess it's true. Chevy 350, can't find an oil filter for it. It's a weird one. It's an S. Well, what was on there was a Fram Tough Guard 5, TG5. I didn't even think to look up on my stock, that Purelator. I don't know if that's a Ford or not, a part number, but probably should have looked up there. I'll look up there before I go, but yeah, it was a Tough Guard. It was on there pretty good. Tough Guard 5. Couldn't find one at the store. And when I mean find one, I mean couldn't find a regular PH5, S5, couldn't find a Wix. None of those were in stock. Rather odd. The other thing that I did, besides throw more dirt out, So on this guy, there's a O-ring. So I put a new O-ring on. It's on there pretty tight, so I'm not gonna take it off. Put a new O-ring on there. So we're kind of going through all the normal stuff of something that's just sitting there, just like a car. You know, cleaning out the fuel system, oil filter, checking the timing, cap rotor, putting new plugs on. The wires are Taylor 8.2s, so they're in good shape. And then we'll throw some gas in it. I'm not going to connect the fuel pump to the fuel line right away to the regulator. Oh, I guess I already did. I'm gonna have to take it off of the carburetor is what I'm saying, I guess, because I want to see the fuel flowing through there nicely before I connect it to the carb. Other than that, we're just gonna be, you know, swapping parts out, putting stuff back together, and then we'll see if we can get her started. If I can get it started today, then we'll put some timing light on, check the timing, should be right, and we'll be ready to go out and do some water testing. The whole reason why the boat was parked was because it would idle and stuff nicely in the driveway, and it would go, you know, about 15 or 20 miles an hour, but when you try to put it under load, it would just lay over flat. Oh, and that's something else. I might have to change some jetting in the carburetor, because look at that. That's something fierce. So I don't know if that's because there was a problem or what. Yeah, we'll run new plugs in it, idle it, pull one plug, see what's going on, try to rev it up a little bit, see what's going on, see if it stays rich. If it's super rich still, I'll pull out some jets. I think I wrote them down. So this is just a stock Chevy 350, and it's got 71s in the primaries and 78s in the secondaries. I don't know why Quick Fuel did that. I don't think I changed those. Usually I'm used to seeing like a 64 and a 72 on a 650. So, you know, that's like from Holly and stuff. So we'll check that out. Maybe it's just jets are too big, and we'll tone them down quite a bit. Anyway, there we go. Hey guys, so all of the spark plugs were like super dark and black, except for a couple of them that looks like I just changed out 7 years ago when I was doing troubleshooting. Put new plugs in, got them at 60. That's what everybody says for the Vortec motors. Now on the cap and rotor, I broke off some screws on the cap. They were corroded, so when I went to pull them off, I threw it down here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. These little screws that go in here and attach it. Oh, there it is. So they were just corroded so bad everywhere that they just snapped right off. That one looks like it was already broken. But anyway, I had to drill it out and then knock out the old screws, pull out the old screws. And then I was able to get the new cap on and the new rotor. The wires are Taylor 8.2s. They're in good shape. I didn't test them, but they look good. I don't think they've been used for very long. Got the oil in, changed the oil filter. I got my two batteries, as you can see. So there's two here because one's, well, the way I set it up was it's always had a starting one, obviously, and then the deep cycle one is for when you're sitting listening to the radio. It's got a little bit of a, I don't know if you can see the subs, little 10-inch subs under there. It's got an amp and stuff. So when you're just sitting out there without the motor running, the radio will drain the battery pretty good. So I switch it over to the second battery, use it. Then when I start it up on the first battery, I can switch over to 1 and 2, and it'll charge them up both good. Anyway, that's why that is. I did some, I'm looking at some sketchy wiring here. This went to the fuel pump, and this is a new wire. I think I might have connected that to something incorrectly. I think what my problem is going to be, I'm thinking what I'm going to find out my problem was low voltage on the power, on the fuel pump. That's what I'm hoping for. I'd like to find something wrong. I haven't found anything wrong yet. There was water, about a gallon of water in the fuel tank. I don't know where it came from, but we're going to keep an eye on that, and also I've sealed up everything really well. You can see the fuel filter, new fuel filters in there. So the next step, because of the spark plugs being so fouled, the next step I'm going to do is, when I took this apart, I noted that the primaries had 71s, the secondaries had 78s, the squirters were both 33s. It's got a 4.5, I need to write that down before I forget, 4.5 power valve in it. So I think what I'm going to do is, before I put fuel on this, I'm going to go ahead and take these bowls back off. I'm going to put 64s in the front and 68s in the back. It's rich for sure, and I don't know why those were such big jets. So we're going to swap those out and just see how she runs and what it looks like in here. These were always dark when we were running it, so it was always running rich. I just was trying to be safe, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, that's what we're going to do. So the next step is, we got the oil in. We're going to put these batteries in, and then I'm going to swap out the jets on the carb, and then we'll be ready to plop the carb on there and see about our fuel pump wiring. I'll check it with the spark one with the batteries in. I'll check and see what it says, and also where the source is. Anyway, that's where we're at. All right. Changed the jets in the carburetor from 71 78s to 68 74, so dropped them a considerable amount, and 3 or 4 by each. We'll see if that works with our valve plug issue. Fresh water pump, or the water pump, whatever, cooling pump, water pump, has this guy in it. These things rip off after being dried out and stuff. This one's been that way for a while. You can see none of those are new. Had to order this from Amazon. Got the part number from the boat dealership. So I ordered this, but I just plugged it off. It's the on-off switch for the buzzer for low pressure problems. Low oil pressure. I got a gauge, so it shouldn't be a problem. We'll watch the oil gauge and make sure it's good. But I got this side there, the wiring, fuel pump mounted. I used a piece of 5/16 or 1/4 inch fuel hose for a rubber gasket between the boat and the pump, right down there. 2 of them. And then I got this guy routed a little bit different than it was before, because I think I'm going to end up taking this out, so I didn't want to go through it like I did before. I'll just use some tie wraps to secure that. Everything's in and happy. I'm going to put this new pump on, new part, if you're interested. Really? Yeah, I don't know. And then we'll put some water to it. I'll have to put some, I started trying to find all these. I'll put some plugs in, and then we can put some water to it, give her a starting. I used, you can see that little tank over there, so I've got like 6 gallons in it of regular gas. That's my mixed gas over there. And I use that in the bowls and to prime the fuel pump, so that it's got a little bit of oil in there on first start. It's been sitting for 7 years, so if there's any residual rust or whatever, it might help. I don't know, a little bit. So anyway, I think we're gonna get her out today, if I can get this last little bit of stuff done here pretty quick. So yeah, that's that. Okay, we're gonna water test it and set the floats better. Looks like the front one's a little high, the back one's just a tiny high. And I have one plug over there that the threads were kind of stripped out, so it's sitting up pretty high. Now hopefully that'll hold. Anyway, let's see what we got. Okay, you gonna turn my water on for me, Timbalina? Please?
What? All the way or quarter turn back?
Yeah, we'll see. Just go about halfway.
Halfway?
Yeah. You ready?
Watch the oil and fire.
Idling really fast. Go ahead, shut the water off. Missed 2 freeze plugs.
What?
See the Jerry? You see the water dripping off the back of the manifold down back there? Yeah. No, it's 2 plugs on the back I missed.
Right back here.
Yes, ma'am. All right, excuse me.
Don't laugh. Okay, what are you doing?
I'm just adjusting the idle screw. We'll see if it idles slower. Come on. That was really fast. That might be this things. All right, so I gotta get these plugs. You give me the. Hey, so after that devastating last try, pulled the carburetor off, re-cleaned it. Didn't find anything obvious wrong. Reset the float heights. Excuse me. Reset the float heights. And then pulled it back out. Started it up, and both of the bellows right back here were yucky. So I think it just gave out over time. There's a little bit of pressure because they're not quite square or whatever. But anyway, swap those out. With a piece, I just happen to have some 4-inch, I think it's 4-inch, 4.5, extra from doing the captain's call on it. 4-inch. I installed this years ago. Not captain's call, sorry, it's just side exhaust. Yep. And I also put the double batteries in. And this spot and that open spot there, I have these special size storage deals for all kinds of stuff. They'll hold all the ice chests, all the ropes and buoys and all that stuff. But I take them out and put them in the shed when I'm put them in the shed when it's in storage, which has been for 7 freaking years. Anyway, I also wanted to show you, I got those guys. Oh, it's dark in there. My goodness. Is that better? Got those. They came from the hardware store because the boat store didn't have the pet cots, you know, the ones that plug in. And almost fell over it. Anyway, so I'm gonna pull it out one more time and give her a testing start with the water, and then I think I'll do some tuning with the vacuum gauge and check for leaks. So that's where we're at. Oh, upside down. Weird. Anyway. Pulling good vacuum. I just checked the alternator, it's charging. I'm gonna pull this hose off, make sure there's no plugs, because I'm not getting very much water out of that side. This side, it's getting good water. So, I think it's good. We're gonna shut her down. We're gonna shut her down and button it up. All right, trailer lights don't work, but they're plugged in. We're going to take her on a maiden journey. How it drives up. Yep. Got the covers bolted back in, and I added these cushions up here for some comfort. No, we'll see how we can do. Well, hey guys, I just got back from the testing with my wife, and it didn't go very well, as you saw. Brought the boat back in this little cover. Had the firing order on it, and I had my timing light out. So I was just checking everything and to start the timing, because before it was all fuel related. Now next thing is to perfect the timing, and then I can move on to, if it's a physical valve train issue. So what happened was 2 and the 4 were swapped on the firing order. So I was very careful when I swapped the distributor cap, so I don't believe it was that. But we're gonna go put it in and see if it made a difference. So there we go. All right, buddy. All right, buddy. A little bit of tuning, I think. So here we go. Here, feel it? Well, cool. Got her out. She's running good. And all of a sudden, blew a radiator hose. I watched my temperature go away, so it's not getting any water. But the bilge is working away, so it should be cleared out. We'll see if we can pull that off, get this out of the way, cut it shorter, and get it over there. Ziploc bag, shoestring, still leaking, but not blowing water out. We'll see if we can make it back. Well, took the boat out. Lower radiator hose. It goes from the thermostat housing to the water pump. You can see this goes all the way back to about here. The split, it just blew out. I was driving, I was cruising in the boat, and it just, I noticed the temperature gauge went down to from 160 down to 100, so far left of the gauge. Stopped, looked in the engine bay, full of water. This thing was just pumping water out into the boat. Pretty good bit of water. Didn't have a knife to shorten it, although it's cut way back to here, maybe back to here. Yeah, I can still feel it there. So I wrapped a Ziploc bag around it and then used my shoelace to tie it, and then strapped it on. It still squirted a little bit here because I couldn't get the thing around it. Didn't plan it out too well, but got me back to the dock and up on the trailer. All the more reason to make sure all your accessorized work, the old bilge pump and the such. Otherwise, if I wouldn't have checked it, it could have filled up a good bit more. And yeah. Anyway, so we'll get another one of those ordered and then get out to do some more tuning. Thought you might want to see the actual cut, so it just blew out. It's the bottom part of the radiator hose, so I didn't even see it. Didn't see it bulging. It almost looks like somebody cut it with a knife. It's crazy. I don't know. I do not know. Never seen such a thing. But yeah, the old Ziploc bag and the shoestring worked out pretty good. Okay. Perfect.